Hello, everybody. Welcome back to this podcast, Takes Tokens. I'm Ryan, joined by my brother Derek, and let's start out with our question for the day.
Sure.
So it's your 10th birthday, and you have $100 just burning a hole in your pocket. What are you going to buy?
That was a good birthday if I got $100
Right?
in my pocket, I gotta say. And normally it's like maybe 10 or 20 would be a good birthday. Like, usually it's just like a bunch of presents. Yeah. Not a lot of cash around birthdays as a kid, but hey, you know, $100 burning a hole in my pocket. 1991, I would be 10. You know, honestly, I would have probably put it in my wallet. I mean, okay. The now me says invested in some stocks and let it ride, right? Sure. But that's now me. That's me
not
at
10-year-old you.
40 some odd.
Yeah.
30, 15 or whatever I am. Yeah. And that's not, you know, what 10-year-old me would have done. 10-year-old me probably would have. Is it $100 bill? Are we talking like some 20s mixed cash? Does that matter? I guess that doesn't really matter.
You just got $100.
All right. So I'd probably shove it in my wallet and then go out with friends. Like every time friends were like, hey, you want to go do this thing? Absolutely. I got cash. Let's go do it. We go to a movie. I'd probably go to the movies. I get the popcorn and the drink and the candy on top of the tickets. Then we probably hit up an arcade or something next door. Maybe I get some comic books. Really, if I merge the two brains, my now brain and my child brain, I would have liked to have probably gone to GameStop and just blown it on a bunch of games. Yeah. Like, what games can I get for $100? And gotten probably a bunch of just like, I think Super Nintendo came out this year. That would be out of my price range, but. And I didn't get that for a few years. So it'd probably be Nintendo games and Game Boy games. And then sadly, I would have broke my Game Boy about a year after this. But that's where I'm
Very
at.
Sad. Very
How
sad.
about you?
Yeah. I've always been somebody, if I get money for a gift, I use it to buy something tangible. Because I can't just like, I don't know, I feel like I'm wasting it if I, you know, no offense, but like I go to the movie, you know, or whatever. I'm like, okay, well now it's here and it's gone, you know. But back then, 1997 would have been my 10th birthday. I am buying X-Men action figures. Because around that time, like X-Men, you know, was really popular. Like they had the cartoon, they had, you know, they had Age of Apocalypse and all that going on. I would have bought a bunch of X-Men action figures. Maybe their jet that they had if I had enough money. But yeah, back then when I was that age, like I played video games, but I didn't. I really I played games that I either bought or I borrowed. You know, from like our Aunt Kathy or something like that.
Yeah.
I was huge into action figures back then. And I had all kinds of them. And I would play with those just over and over again. So that's what I would have bought. Definitely.
1997. Yeah. All I remember that year, that summer before 97. I think it was the summer of 96. I bought up all of those Age of Apocalypse action figures. I had like Magneto and Wolverine and Cyclops and Wild Child with Sabretooth and somebody else. I think the Jean Grey character maybe. And loved them. That was like, Age of Apocalypse was like my favorite thing around that time. And then I entered high school. And once that first week in high school, after that first week in high school, I came back and I got rid of all those action figures. Because I was just like,
you're done with them at that point.
I'm in high school now. I'm older. I got to be done with all this kid stuff. So I got rid of all those action. I remember we were having a garage sale a couple weeks later. Yeah. And it was like early fall. And I put them all in the garage sale and sold them all for like pennies on the dollar, and felt regret in the moment, and still feel regret to this day. Like, I didn't have to sell them. I could have just put them in a box and stuck them up on a shelf. No, had to sell them. Had to just like turn my back on all of that so hard.
I mean, I think you're singing the tune of like every 30 to 40 something year old guy right now, right? Because I remember doing that. Like, I sold mine in the garage sale because I'm like, oh, I could get like $20 out of all these, you know, maybe. And what am I going to do with that $20? Oh, I'll probably go buy a crappy game on the bargain bin, you know, or something like that. But yeah, I mean, I distinctly remember the last time I played with my action figures. I was in like 7th grade, I think, and I got them out, and I was in my room, and I started playing with them, and I was playing for like maybe 5-10 minutes, and then I remember just being like, I'm done with this. I put them up, never did it again. And then I ended up selling them. But yeah, I had the, I don't think I had as many X-Men ones as you had, but I remember I had the Age of Apocalypse one with Wolverine, and his hand was missing, but you could put like the claw in there, or I think there was like a gun and everything.
Yeah. It was a gun for some reason. I don't know, that part never made sense to me.
Yeah.
And then they had like a sigh or something as well. Yeah. I had those, and for me, I didn't play with them. At least not that summer, like before I had. But that summer, I think I didn't realize it at the time, but I was collecting. And I had them on a shelf in action poses. And it was just to look, it was a display in my room for me to see. And that brought me joy. Much like we do today. But yeah, it just, for whatever reason, I got that in my head, like we all do, where I'm like, no more of this baby stuff. Let's get rid of it. Move on with our lives.
Unfortunately.
I don't know. Yeah. I try and protect my kids from that now, and I have a little bin in my office, and whenever they purge out their toys, I'll kind of go through them and before they officially leave the house. And I'll pick out the ones that I know were their absolute favorites, and I'm storing those off to the side. So
that's good dad move there.
Hopefully I made the right call. Hopefully I've made the right call over the years, and they'll be pleasantly surprised. But, anyways. How about we get to the episode?
Yeah. Let us know in the comments. It's your 10th birthday. You got $100. What are you buying? Let us know. We'll read it on the air. And with that, we're going to roll the intro, and we'll see you in just a minute.
Your local video store card.
A comic book in your back pocket.
Games with no tutorials.
Music you had to discover.
And drinking water straight from the hose.
These are the things us millennials remember fondly. We are the Jennings brothers.
Join us after the streetlights come on
as we race our bikes from the top of the hill
right down memory lane.
Exchange those quarters, because this podcast takes tokens.
Rollin', 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 keep them doggies rollin'. Man, my token's swollen, rawhide. And we're talking about city slickers today. I got a little laugh out of you with it.
I'm laughing because I'm up here in my office, like all closed off from the rest of the house, and if I did something like that, I don't feel anything about it. You're in the middle of your house.
Middle of the house, man.
Open
middle
to the whole family. No shame. I love it.
That time that when we recorded the first Metal Gear Solid episode, and I was doing the tokens, tokens. Like, I talked to Mindy later, and she's like, what was going on? And so, maybe what she's thinking right now, 'cause she's right on the other side of the door there. But anyway, no shame. You know,
I love it.
It's for the sake of entertainment.
That's right. You're having fun. You're having fun. That's all we're here for.
Yes. All right, we are. So, yes, we're talking about City Slickers, released on June 7th, 1991, starring Billy Crystal, Jack Palance, Bruno Kirby, and Daniel Stern. Had a budget of $27 million. Take a guess what it grossed worldwide.
150, I'm guessing.
179 million.
179.
And
right.
like I said, it released June 7th. We could have done this in our Blockbuster movie rewind had we have thought about it. But
yeah. Hey, this is 91?
Yeah.
That's I would have been 10. There may
That's
have
right.
been a movie
There
I
we
went
go.
and saw.
There we go. Great movie. I had a lot of fun rewatching it. Did you like it?
I enjoyed rewatching it. I gotta be honest. I remember watching it as a kid and liking it, thinking it was funny. But it was never... I guess it didn't make... It was one of those movies that, as I've grown older, over the last, say, 20 years, it's a movie that I'm like, oh yeah, I should go back and rewatch that. But it was I guess the memory wasn't strong enough for me to go and act on that. It wasn't until now that I've actually gone through and rewatched it. I don't think I've seen this movie in like 25 years. It's been a while for sure. And I've kind of forgotten about it. But yeah, it was fun to go back and rewatch. I don't know that. I think the memory is fonder than the rewatch on this one for me. But it was still a fun rewatch. I enjoyed it. It's not a movie that I'm going to turn off. If I'm by myself, if I'm with my wife, she will turn it off, and I will to watch something else. I told her we were watching this movie, and she was like, "Oof, okay,
No way,
I'm not watching that
man."
Yeah. So she was out. She'll watch Billy Crystal if he's opposite Meg Ryan. But other than that,
That's about it.
I think she's out.
Yeah.
So, but I had fun with the rewatch for sure. Yeah, absolutely. How about you?
I enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it. I own it. And so it's not something I watch,
right.
It's not an annual watch, but
Yeah.
I do watch it from time to time. My memory of it is actually from a kid is more City Slickers 2, because I remember going to the theater I was staying the night, I think, with our Aunt Kathy, and her and a family friend of ours, Linda, they were wanting to go see City Slickers 2. And she told me before I stayed the night, she's like, "Oh, we're going to go to this movie." And I said, "Well, I haven't seen the first one." And she's like, "That's all right. If you want to come, you can come." So I went, and I liked it. But it was later, a couple of years later, that I watched the first one. So there was like a gap, there of like, you've got the knowledge of the second one and have no idea about the first one. But man, I think this, like, Billy Crystal to me is so funny. I like all his one-liners.
Great timing.
And oh my gosh, they're just
like,
great.
if this character wasn't written for him, it was written by him,
Yes.
because it is definitely his voice.
Yes.
Yeah. And really, like, I wouldn't doubt it if he had a hand in writing, just because there were certain zingers or one-liners or bits that were in there that I'm pretty sure I remember from his stand-up. I want to say.
Yeah.
It definitely gels with his personality, the baseball and, all that.
I think you're right, because I do remember from his stand-up, well, I think I remember, hopefully I'm right on this, but that line, like, women need a reason, men just need a place.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
but yeah, I mean, he was great in it. But also, I think completely underrated in this movie is Daniel Stern's performance. is
Yeah.
it's layered, but he is does a great job at comic roles, and particularly in this one. Like, I loved when they get to the ranch, and it's like they've been there like an hour or whatever, and the son and father and son come up, and they're introducing themselves, and they say, hey, we're dentists, over wherever, and Billy Crystal's like, yeah, I sell airtime, or I'm in sales or whatever, and Ed, greets him, and he's like, I own a sports shop, or a sporting goods store, and then Daniel Stern is like, hi, I'm Phil Berquist. I committed adultery on my wife and my family.
They're like, okay.
So funny.
Yeah, like there's that whole opening scene, or not the first scene, the second scene where they're at Billy Crystal's, what's his character's name? Anyway, it's his birthday party. Mitch, yeah. They're at Mitch's birthday party, and Daniel Stern's there with his wife, and she's being who she is. And I remember thinking in that moment, oh yeah, that's right. He ends up going on the cattle drive and having this whole like arc where he realizes that he needs to leave his wife and yada yada yada. And I had completely forgotten about the subplot, and that girl breaks into the apartment, and I was like, oh, that's right, that's what happened. Yeah. And then like all that happened, and that was pretty funny.
That was funny because
Yardley Smith was supposed to be like 20 there.
I know.
Is she 20 there?
Right? I don't know. Like, she's always looked a little older, I think, than...
Yeah, but like, I mean, like the timing, 1991, she probably would have been like early 20s, which is just crazy.
Yeah. I love when she comes in and she's like, I'm late.
I'm late.
And Mitch, Billy Crystal's like, oh boy. He just kind of like walks off. Yeah, I don't know.
He's like, it's okay if you're late. It's fine.
Yeah. And the fact that Billy Crystal, Mitch is supposed to be 39 in this movie.
I know.
I'm like, he looks like he's in his late 40s or something. I don't know. Like, he looks like he's 39, but... Yes.
I think at the time, Billy Crystal was about that age, which is just crazy to think about. Which, I gotta say, Billy Crystal, looking pretty good for a middle-aged man in this movie. Yeah. It's quite impressive. Yeah. And I forget that that's Billy Crystal. But yeah, it was pretty fun. This is one of those movies, and I don't know, maybe it's one of the last... I don't know. When did this stop being a thing? The opening credits, they did this whole like cartoon thing.
I loved it.
Which these opening credits ran for what felt like forever. Yeah. And I looked at it, and it was 2.5 minutes of this lassoing cowboy with the opening. I'm pretty sure they rolled all the credits in the beginning, and there was nothing left for the end of the movie. Yeah. But yeah, like these cartoon opening credits, man, they really, like in comedies, especially in the 80s and I guess in the early 90s, they really liked doing these opening credit cartoon things. They were something for sure.
Well, and it's another one of those things. Like, I mean, I've said it in other episodes we've done. Like, it's not necessarily with the credits, but the story is pretty unique, it's like, I mean, I know like the themes are common, like, coming to terms with, getting older and, trying to find your place in life when everything just kind of seems the same. But, like I've said before, I've said it again and again, like we have so many movies now that are just like, oh, let's do sequels, or let's do remakes, or let's just do a bunch of superhero movies, or, whatever. It's refreshing to go back and watch these, and this one in particular for me, and to have it be just an original story, and it's not really heavy-handed. It's just like, it's a comedy with a little bit of drama sprinkled into it, and I'm just here to have a good time and to, laugh and, whatever. So
it's fun.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Like but at the same time, yeah, like you said, there's a little drama, a little depth to it. There's some thought. I think they just took swings, they took risks, they took chances, in the past. And now movies they become formulas. It's not about like, what's a good idea. It's about like, what'll make us the most money. And yeah, it's kind of sad. I don't know. I don't know where you go now to find all these original things, but yeah, it's just not the same.
Just indie stuff, honestly. Like,
yeah,
movies
really,
and
yeah.
stuff
Like,
that.
and
Really,
it's a roll of the dice every time too. But you do find those gems for sure.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
So, would you ever run with the bulls?
No. No desire to do it. But I was curious, is this something that they still do? And I looked it up, and yes, the running of the bulls is still a thing. It's still going on. You can get a package deal to run with the bulls in Pamplona at a 5-star hotel. And you're 90 meters to the bull run, which I guess is really close. Yeah. Rooftop views. Premium inclusion, VIP support at this luxury hotel for $8,883 Filipino, what is their currency? Pesos.
Okay.
Yeah, pesos. Which is like $150.
No way.
So,
no way.
It's not that expensive.
Oh, man.
I mean, you got to get there.
Yeah. Your airfare is going to be quite a bit.
Yeah. I imagine not horrible, but yeah, but yeah, you can go to the running bulls and it wouldn't be super expensive. It'd be a fun little, I would watch it. Like from the rooftop? Absolutely. I could do that, but I am not running with them. No, sir.
I mean,
not now, not in my 20s. Not at any point in my life do I desire to run with bulls.
Like, I wonder, like, what's the end goal of that? Like, is there like a finish line sort of a thing, or is it just like you just run, and so you can't do it anymore?
I'm going to purely speculate here. From my recollection, I think I heard somewhere that the bulls are running to the arena.
Okay.
Where they do the bull fighting. And they just let them out of the gate, and then they run down the streets and they go to the arena, and that's the end. So I imagine, yeah, like everybody floods into the arena, the bulls flood into the arena, and then everybody goes up into the stands, would be my guess, and then the bulls are in the arena. And then they wrangle the bulls, I would assume. That's my guess.
I don't know.
I'm pretty sure, because like there's bullfighting that's associated with it, that's somewhat true in as far as like the details of it. I'm not sure, but I'm pretty sure they're running to the arena in some way or another, and then they're used in bullfighting, which is like, that's the part where I'm out, because the bullfighting, like, that ends with them killing the bull.
Yeah, absolutely.
And roasting the bull and serving the bull.
Like, don't get me wrong. Like, I love meat, and I'm okay. Like, I'm okay killing an animal to eat. Like, I kind of live in a rural area, and we have hunters and things, and you need to have population control on some of these animals. But I'm not going to sit there and play with it and like just continually stab it, until it just bleeds out and dies. Like, that's,
unless it's been cooked and it's on my plate, and then I want to continue to stab it until it's little pieces that I can put in my mouth.
Yeah.
So no, I agree. Yeah. Like, I think they hit on this at the end, towards the end of the movie, whenever they get all the herd in, and the guy's like, oh yeah, these are all going off to be sold, and they're going to turn into hamburger basically. But yeah, like I think it's just something about the way, it's, at least for me, the way I grew up. Like you said, where we grew up, it's everywhere. I grew up with grandparents that were farmers living, on farms. I spent a lot of time on farms, around livestock, mostly fields of like hay and oats and stuff like that. But my grandparents on my mom's side had cattle and pigs, and our grandma June had chickens. And I've been exposed to all that. But yeah, like I don't know. I don't have any. If it was me in Mitch's position and I rescued the little calf or whatever, I don't think I'd be as attached to him. I wouldn't have that same attachment that he has to it. Not to say that I'm like fatten it up and send it off to slaughter, but like I don't know. For me, like cattle it's designed for one thing, and that is to feed us. However you feel about that, that's up to you, and you can treat that however you feel like treating it. And if you don't want to eat meat, don't eat meat. That's cool with me. Just don't force me to do the same. Like that doesn't make sense to me. I'm not going to force you to eat it. Don't force me to not eat it. That doesn't make any sense. But yeah, like for me, cattle is raised for that specific purpose, and you don't see wild herds of cattle out there. So it's not like they're roaming free somewhere. They are. They have one purpose, and let's not mess with that fact. There is one purpose for cattle, and it is to feed us. But I kind of that little bit at the end, I was like, that's 100%. Like that's what this is for. I agree with that 100%. And so like he gets this cow and he brings it back to New York City. What's the end game? I know. Like I don't understand that.
That is like
with this cow.
Because to me, it looks like, at least in this movie, it looks like they're living in an apartment. Because, like, when they're having his birthday party, like, you can see the city out through the window and everything. Yep. Now, I know in City Slickers 2, they're at, like, a home somewhere.
Maybe moved upstate or something.
Yes, and Herman, wasn't it Herman? That was his calf's name.
Norman,
that's it. Norman is bigger in City Slickers 2. He's grown. And, like, I remember... Mitch out there going for his morning run, and Norman's running with him. But yeah, I'm like, how long, like, how are they going to keep this in the apartment?
Right.
And then even when they do move, is the HOA or whatever going to allow them, like the city they're living in, to allow them to keep a full-size cow?
Right.
I don't know.
I imagine they got the cow to the apartment and kind of treated the situation like, we're going to pretend this is just a large dog, and then quickly bought the upstate property and moved. That definitely happened, I would imagine, within weeks, if not a month or two at the most. Because that cow's going to get big quick.
Oh, yeah.
And it's going to be messy.
Yes.
And loud.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I get Mitch's like love for the thing because he saved it from its dying mother, and then he saves it again. When it's in the river
from the rapids,
and I get like all the other ones are going to get slaughtered, and he's like, I don't want this one to get slaughtered. But I don't know, maybe buy it from the guy and then take it to a farm somewhere and say, here, let's. Can you keep it, and I'll come, visit it every weekend or something. Like,
maybe that's how it went. Like he boarded it up somewhere for a while at first. I don't know.
Yeah.
When did you say this movie came out?
1991.
Yeah. Oh, it was June. That's what it was. Okay. Yeah. I don't know why I have this in my notes that... So I have in my notes, did you plan... Oh, that's what it is. This episode will be released to all you listening at home around your birthday, Ryan.
Oh.
And you won't be 39.
I'll be 38, so.
Yeah, close.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's interesting.
Yeah. Like, I don't feel like I'm that old, but I don't know. This movie's kind of got me wanting to go on a little cattle drive or something like that. When a couple years ago, when the family, we went to South Dakota, and we stayed on a ranch, much like the one, in this movie. And we didn't go on a cattle drive, but they had horses, and we went horseback riding. And that was a blast.
Had fun.
Absolute blast.
Yeah.
Man, I want to do that again. I'd do it for 2 weeks. Drive some cattle. I don't know.
Not me.
Not you.
No.
See? You're a city slicker.
I guess so. Yeah, sure. Call me a city slicker. I just don't want to go riding a cow or a horse or anything. I have no desire to ride any animal, and nor do I have a desire to be ridden by any animals. That's just my stance on them.
It's pretty fun. There's nothing like being on the back of a horse.
I don't know, I'm okay with it. I don't like wet dog smell and the smell of barnyard animals.
Oh, okay.
I don't like that smell, and I don't want it on me. Like whenever my wife looks at we have a place just 2-hour drive from us. It's like an Arbuckle Park or something like that, where you can go and all the animals come up to your car and then you can feed them from the car and everything like that. She's like, we should go do that. And we see all these videos online of people with the animals sticking their heads in and taking the food, or they'll sneeze all over it or something like that. And me and my daughter are both like, no. Absolutely not. She's like, well, it's not going to happen like that. And even if it does, so what? And we're like, no. That's the reason why it's a no. It's right there. I don't want anything to do with any of that. Yeah. I don't know. I think it's it wasn't a thing for me before, but something about I think it was with the kids. Something about changing dirty diapers, and now smell is a thing for me. Whenever I hit a specific smells, like barnyard smells or wet dog smells or diaper smells. No, I just
can't do it.
It hits me different now. And I'm like, if I can avoid that, I'm going to avoid that. So that's just how it is for me.
I work in a hospital, so there's weird smells all the time. So
I imagine you get used to it. Eventually you're just okay, I'm good. If it was part of my job, I'd have to deal with it, and eventually I'm sure I'd become desensitized to it. But I'm also kind of at a point where I'm if I don't have to deal with something, I'm not going to deal with it if I don't want to deal with it. So that's where I'm at.
Well, to each their own. I can't wait to go on a horseback ride again.
Well, that's fine. Yeah. You go on your horseback ride. I'm going to sit back and enjoy the view and, I don't know, play on my Game Boy
there
or something.
Go. So I want to talk for a minute about when Mitch goes to his son's classroom. Who's Jake Gyllenhaal, by the way. I forgot he was in this movie.
Very young Jake Gyllenhaal.
Yeah, very young Jake.
It's 10 years old.
Yeah, looks like it. Yeah, that haircut looks older than that. I think you and I both have that haircut.
At about that age.
Yes. So he goes to this classroom, and it's supposed to be what is it? It's your parent comes to work, and I can't think of the name of it. They come to the school and they tell you about their job or whatever. And this guy that works in construction just is telling this story. He is swearing left and right.
Yeah,
talking about.
He's being as blue collar as he can be.
I loved it. Talking about the what was it, a crane or something that fell on this woman's leg.
Yeah, I can't remember what he was talking about, but man, he was definitely it was funny because all the kids are totally into it, and the teacher's actually, you could tell that she wanted to get in there, but it was also at a time whenever you just politely let
somebody finish.
People run their mouths and they'll finish and whatever. You don't have to correct them on the spot or whatever, but yeah, he was definitely like, he was telling his story.
Oh yeah,
with no shame.
Yep. And then Mitch gets up there and he's just the most depressing. This is the best your lives are ever gonna get. This is it right here. It's all downhill from here.
What was it? He said something about like your 20s are a blur. Your 30s you make some money and raise your kids.
Yeah.
And then you think to yourself, what happened to my 20s? And then in your 40s you grow a little bigger and hair on your chin. Oh, he like went off on like this whole thing. Yeah. But I'm like, you're not in your 40s yet. How can you comment on being in your 40s?
He's looking.
But this is one of those things that I was like, this is from his stand-up routine for sure.
Yeah.
I remember seeing this. Yeah. This is like part of his whole thing. But yeah, like, you're not in your 40s yet. What do you mean? But yeah, he goes all the way up to like, what, his 80s or something like that?
That's it.
Then you have a stroke.
Yeah.
And something about a Jamaican nurse, which I was just like,
So what did you think? What did you think about Curly?
I like Curly. Yeah. I think Curly. I needed more time with Curly. I don't fully have a read on if he was genuinely making a connection with Mitch, or if Mitch was interpreting a connection, projecting a connection onto Curly through his midlife crisis, and Curly was just feeding him the same thing that he says to, because he talks about, like, you guys are all the same. You come here every year, you do the same thing, you talk about the same stuff. So was he just giving him the same spiel that he gives every other 39, 40-year-old guy that comes up to there? And Mitch just, like, had this profound connection with it. And because Curly died and didn't... And Curly, really, he exited before he overstayed his welcome. Before he had a chance to change Mitch's perspective about what was happening. And I think that's what it was, is that if Curly had stayed around a little bit longer, I think Mitch would have... The honeymoon phase of what was happening with Mitch would have faded so much faster, and maybe we wouldn't have the same movie.
Yeah. Well, I think, talking about the same spiel he was giving, everybody, because, I think part of it, he was just almost, I don't want to say done doing what he was doing, but, you get to the point where you're dealing with these city folk all the time, or whatever it is, you know what I mean? Then you're used to...
Same people over and over again, same customers over and over again, basically.
But, it's that moment when Mitch finally stands up to him. He's playing his harmonica, and he's like, if you're going to kill me, just go ahead and kill me. But I'm on vacation. And I'm going to sit here, I'm going to enjoy this. And I think that, that's the moment where... I don't think anybody else ever stood up to him before, and he finally gained the respect of him. And, but you're right. Like, I had forgotten how little that Jack Palance was in this movie,
First build, though.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
He's got top billing, and he spent 10 minutes in the movie.
Like, it's just them, like, they get Norman. And then he dies. Like, it's the weirdest. Like, when I die, I want to die like Curly. He's just sitting up, like, almost
with a cigarette in your mouth,
smiling almost. He's got a cigarette hanging out of his mouth.
Just watching the sunrise. Yeah. Do you think he made it to the sunrise, or did he die before the sunrise came by?
It had to have been as the sunrise. Like, look at this guy. This guy is like what Billy Crystal says. He's like, that man is so tough. He's like a saddlebag with eyes.
Yeah.
He had to have, like, when he went, it's when he wanted to go. You know, he's looking, watching the sunrise, and you know, yeah, I think that's what he went.
Didn't they bring him back for the second one?
So this is a problem that I have.
He played like his twin.
Yes, this is an issue. I'm going to hit this topic real quick. There's an issue that I have with movies and TV shows. Do it a lot. They will have a character that they write off. They kill them off. Right? They're dead.
Yeah.
Now in movies, it may be because I'm sure this one they wrote it. And they weren't expecting to do a second one, whatever. But I've seen it in TV shows too. The character is gone, and then it's like the writers are like, "Oh man, this person was really popular. Like we need to bring the star value back. What are we gonna do? Oh, we'll put him back in here, and we'll say that this character had a twin." Oh, that's a great idea. He had a twin, They never mentioned in the past 15 seasons, now this person's back and they've got a twin. I hate it. I think it's silly. And it's lazy. It's lazy. That's what it is.
Yeah.
But that said, he is back in City Slickers 2. He plays Duke, Curly's twin brother. And I still think it's silly. I mean, Jack Palance is great, but it's silly to bring somebody back as a twin. I don't know. You could with the humor that's in this and how tough Curly was. They could have easily made it a joke of like he didn't actually die. He was just drunk or something, and he dug his way out of the grave after they buried him.
Yeah. Or, this is just something that happens every once in a while. My heart will just stop for a few minutes. And then it comes back. Yeah, absolutely. And that would have been, this is the era of Weekend at Bernie's. We would have bought that 100%. Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I like that better. But, I guess, Legend of Curly's Gold or whatever. I don't know. I'm with you. I don't like it. It's a lazy thing the writers do.
It's just a lazy out.
Yeah. So do you think I gotta imagine that Billy Crystal and Jack Kirby, who plays
Bruno Kirby?
He plays Bruno Kirby, the one, they gotta be best friends in real life.
They have to,
because they have such great banter.
Oh,
and this and When Harry Met Sally. Oh my God, they just they strike such a great back and forth, and just a great rapport. They have to be friends.
They have to be, and that's a note that I had. Like the way that even Phil interacts with all three of the guys interact.
Yeah,
it's like I can I've bought into these guys have known each other since childhood. Like they know the ins and outs of each other. They know what they've been through, all their problems, all their, just stupid things that have happened to them or whatever. It's like, and the writing for that it's so good. Like it never feels like it's over the top or that it's forced. It just feels like genuine conversations that you would have if you've known somebody for that long. Like you're going to give each other a hard time. You're going to get into a fight once in a while.
You're going to bust on each other a little bit, and it's going to be okay.
Yeah.
5 minutes later, you're just going to bust on the next guy, and then they're going to bust on you, and it's not you're not saying it to be mean. You're just you're lightening things a little bit, and everybody knows where each other's lines and buttons are, and you can tell they know exactly how far to push it and how much they can push it before. Okay, we need to let them cool off or whatever. And absolutely, these are the kinds of conversations that guys, at least, I can't speak to women, I don't know, but guys have, and the way they talk, not just the things that they're saying, but it's the way that they're saying it to each other, and the way that their relationship is, the back and forth that they have. Absolutely. And it was just really well represented in this, and I don't think it's necessarily Gen X or Boomer thing specifically. I think all guys are like this. It's been my experience, at least. I can't speak for the newer generations, but definitely for our generation, this is how it was and how it continues to be. And that's how you know you have a really good friend, because you can kind of bust on each other and you know where those lines are. And it's good. We're good with it.
I mean, even just like the absurd questions of, just say an alien comes down in a spacecraft and she's the most beautiful woman you've ever seen. Like what you're saying, it's just like, I could see that as a conversation, with people that know each other really well. Like it's
any good friend.
Yeah. And I really think,
or even just like an okay friend.
Yeah.
Like a getting to know somebody friend.
Yeah. And I really think that really most of the characters are written very well. Like, I can't remember her name, the lady that is going with them. She ends up with Phil.
Barbara,
yes. Like, just, I don't know, just how she presents herself and how, like, just that character speaks and acts and, and then the father and son, like, I don't know. I just think everybody is written really well, except for, I don't understand the two guys.
The Ben and Jerry's guys?
No, nothing. Well, those guys were funny. I liked those guys. That's the superpower I want, is to be able to figure out what the perfect ice cream is to have with any meal. That was great. But I don't know how, like, Mitch asks him, makes some elaborate meal up, and he says toasted almond. How are you going to argue with that? Like, how is that, like, how do you know that's the definitive?
Well, that's what they asked him. They said, how do you know? How do you know that is? And they go, well, he just knows. He just knows. He's got a proven track record. It's like, that's not the answer.
No,
that's not proof. But okay, I'll buy into it, and we're just going to move right on with the rest of the story after that.
But I like those guys.
The two cowboys.
What'd you say?
It was the two cowboys, right?
I don't understand. Like,
they didn't make any sense.
I know that they are. They're calm, I guess, for the first half of that drive because Curly's around. Like, they're scared of Curly.
Yeah, it's keeping him in check.
Once Curly's gone, then they're just, it's free reign on whatever they want to do. But I didn't understand, like, they're shooting and they're trying to, like, beat up on Mitch, and I guess maybe because he stopped them or tried to stop them from, hitting on Barbara or whatever.
I think they were just written as, like, overly much, like, because this is early 90s, so you're dealing with the male identity in the grappling with what is it to be masculine and overly macho and all this, and there's like this back and forth thing going on with, we should be a little sensitive, but what's too sensitive, and then also, like, what's too macho. And so, like, you've kind of got this thing, and you can see it in a lot of movies around this time, this kind of trying to figure out in the zeitgeist what is masculine and what is too far, what is too masculine, what is a man supposed to be. And I think this is the writers trying to say, this is a Neanderthal man, and he's a bad man, the type of man you don't want to be. But they didn't write it consistently enough, because you're right, it waxes and it wanes. Like, it starts out and they're aggressive. Well, we first see them and they're just being cowboys. They're doing cowboy stuff, which is masculine and physical. But then they get aggressive with the female character. And that's where it swings to the hyper masculine and the hyper, I don't know, whatever, over aggressive. But then, Curly comes in the picture. They calm down. And they stay pretty much so in check. Then Curly dies, and they don't swing back hard. No, they're like, okay, here's the plan. We're going to send you two to this town, and you can get help. and get taken back. Like, here, we're going to draw you up a map and yada, yada, yada. And they're taking care of everybody. They got a plan. They got a game plan. Here we go. And then, for whatever reason, the cook gets drunk and
so
takes
out
the
of place.
wagons.
Like,
it was, yeah. It was just like, it was weird. It didn't fit any of the characters. And yeah, like the whole thing, like then they all reverted back to this like hyper masculine, overly aggressive thing. But then it was like the whole like, if you just bop them on the nose, they'll leave you alone. And like somebody stood up to them and they backed off, which I've never found to be the case in real life, but in movies, that's the way it goes, I suppose.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then they're gone, and we don't see them.
We never see them again.
I feel like there should have been, I mean, we should have at least got some comeuppance on them or something, like a newspaper headline, something,
or
like whatever.
They're not even at the ranch in Colorado when they get there. Like, I would have at least liked to seen them, like they're there, and or maybe they like show up around the same time the guys show up, and the owner is like, I heard what you did, you're fired, or something.
Well, I think that's it. They knew they couldn't come back. They knew they were fired, so they were just like, whatever, we're just going to leave. And they ran off and did whatever. Yeah. But yeah, I agree. Like, they felt... That was definitely the last thing that was written. Or the afterthought, as far as like and it was just used as a cheap writing point, a way for them to go, okay, we need to move the dial this way. Let's just use this brunt force, like this cheap trick, and we'll get there.
Yeah, we need to have... It
was just kind of a quick
We need
way.
to have Phil finally, like...
Stand
Because that's really what it's written for. It's for Phil to finally just go over the edge and stand up for himself and for his friends, and get out of this, this...
Assert himself.
Yeah. Which, again... I love Daniel Stern in this, and I do like when he's got the gun in the guy's face, and he's like, "My father-in-law's a bully. I hate bullies.
I hate bullies."
But yeah, like they didn't even with the cook. If they would have even taken a line, just put an extra line in at the beginning when they first meet him, and be like that's
he's
him.
an alcoholic. Don't let him have any alcohol.
He's an alcoholic. Don't let him have anything. Yeah. Like, okay, then I would have forgiven that whole scene. Like, okay, Curly's gone. He found the alcohol and he's drunk.
Right.
But I don't know. Yeah, it was weird. But and so their caravan goes off over the cliff. Like the horses die because they're burying the horses. And how do they? So after they have the confrontation with those two guys, they decide, okay, we're going to go and we're going to finish this out. We're going to see it through. Where are they getting all of these, like all this gear from? It's all gone over the ravine. Like we don't,
right? Well, I'm pretty sure Mitch took Curly's jacket and hat.
Okay.
And he wore that throughout the rest of it. But yeah, like I guess they didn't really have that much further to go. I suppose they were pretty close. But my whole thing is, how do they know where to go?
Yeah.
He was just like, we're going to continue going in that direction. Yeah. That's not how that works.
I have to assume maybe they have like a map or something. Because
I
Curly,
because they just stumbled right across the ranch.
Yeah, I mean, Curly knows like when he was leading the thing, like he's done it so many times because that's what they do. They go back and then they go back. They go to Colorado, New Mexico. It's only this time that the price of cattle is so high that they're like, okay, I'm just going to sell these off and be done with it. But so Curly has ridden that trail countless times, but surely they've got to have a map in case something happens to Curly. It did happen to Curly. Like, I don't know. And it makes me wonder, like, which I'm kind of answering my question as I'm saying it. I did wonder, I'm like, whose land are they traveling across for this whole thing? Like, because it's not just like, it's not like the Old West where this is nobody's land. Somebody owns every bit of this. And now I'm thinking, well, it was probably the ranch owner. He probably owns like a strip of land from one place to the other, and they just follow his land. across.
Or they have agreements with people.
Yeah.
Typically, you have agreements with people that you pasture through, and they'll have like a deal for that.
Yeah.
But my whole thing was, what about the highways? Like there are interstates running in every which direction between all these, and this is 1990. This isn't like it's the 30s or something like that.
Even the
this
60s.
Is 1991. There's highways everywhere. Yeah, like how are they? I don't understand what you do with that large herd of cattle whenever you come across a highway. There's got to be like a place where you can go under or something. I would imagine. I don't know.
Probably just goes out there and stops traffic.
Just gives it the stink eye. Yeah. But yeah, that's my question. And then how much time are they spending every day setting up and taking down their camp? And then cattle driving for 8, 12 hours, whatever it is. You know, but then they got to stop somewhere and cook like a lunch, or are they just having breakfast and dinner, I'm assuming, probably.
And maybe just have like little, jerky or something with them.
Snacks or something like that. Yeah, maybe that's how it was. But man, this rancher, he's got a good idea. Like I'm gonna sell tickets. You pay me to come work on my ranch, and then I will train you, sure, but give you jobs. Yeah. And then I'm going to also sell you all the gear that you need to do those jobs. Yeah. Like, that's a good business model right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I love it. I like that. That's a pretty good business model.
I mean, I'd totally go on this. Take a 2-week vacation. Sure. Sure. I'd give it a go. How long do you think it was? How many days do you think the 3 guys were out there, like, by themselves, getting this herd the rest of the way?
1, maybe 2 weeks, be my guess.
Just them? Just the 2 of them? Or the 3 of them?
Oh, just the 2 of them?
3 of them.
Oh, at the very end. Yeah. Oh, probably like 3, maybe 4 days.
That's about what I was thinking. Yeah.
Yeah. That'd be my guess. 3 or 4 days. Yeah. So they're talking during this whole, at the beginning whenever they're herding the cattle, and it's just them. And they're talking about the VCR. And the one guy doesn't understand
Phil's not
how the VCR works. Phil can't figure out how you can watch something and record something else. Or how you can watch the thing that you're recording. I don't know about you, but I never had a problem with the VCR. Did you ever have a problem with the VCR? Never. I could always figure out a VCR. I never had a problem with the VCR. I don't know. I always felt like I was the one either setting it up or explaining it to other people, and I never understood how this was so darn complicated. It's not that complicated, but apparently people found it complicated.
I think that's the frustration that Ed is having. Like Mitch...
He's never going to get it.
Mitch is very patient with Phil on this subject. But Ed, I think, he's like, you've been trying to explain to him for 4 hours. If he doesn't understand how to do it now, he's never going to understand how to do it. Which I am inclined to agree with him. Like, it just, but maybe Phil's a visual guy, Like, I'm somebody, like, I need to see it. Maybe it's the lack of visual aids. Like, I need to see it.
If I can see it, I get it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I thought that was kind of fun. Like I always see that in like movies and stuff where they talk about like not being able to understand the VCR, and I'm like, I never found it that complicated.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, even now in my 40s, I do not find technology complicated. Like I can figure things out. There isn't anything that I have in my house that I can't figure out. And oftentimes I go to other people's houses and have to figure out their things for them. Because they can't figure something out. And I'm like, I don't understand why this is so complicated. But I guess there's just some people that, like, for whatever reason, there's, like, that disconnect with technology. And they just can't, like, line up the wires, I suppose. I don't know. I just never had that issue. And it boggles my mind like, why this is so complicated for some people.
I know. Yeah, it reminds me of that there's that episode of that 70s show when they finally get... when Red and Kitty
the Betamax.
The Betamax, Well, I want to watch Roots. We can watch it. But we're going to record it.
In 4 hours.
Why would we do that? We can just watch it live. Because we can watch it recorded. And then he forgets to put the tape in.
He's like, I forgot to put the tape. Where's Roots, Red? Where's Roots? I want to watch it. Yeah, that was great. I love that part.
We got to do another episode on that 70s show sometime.
Absolutely. We'll have to pick, like, something to focus on with it.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyways.
Yeah.
So do you have your... In all this, the whole, I guess, the central theme is the one thing.
Yeah.
The one thing that drives your life. Do you have your one... Have you given your one thing any thought?
Oh, yeah. You know, it's the same as Mitch. It's like you got your family. What else is there, right? Like...
Yeah.
I mean, I've got hobbies and
Absolutely.
things, and but like,
Push comes to
doesn't
shove.
matter.
Yeah.
As cheesy as that is, like it,
Yeah. I have no problem
Yeah.
telling my wife and telling my kids. She comes 1st, they come second. And that's the order. And she puts them first. And that's okay with me. Because I put her first. She's my one thing, and because of her, they are also my one thing.
Yep. Yeah.
But yes.
So what was Curly's one thing? Did he ever say?
It was that girl in the sundress.
Oh, that's right. That's right. The cotton dress. Yeah. She was a redhead.
The girl, the love of his life that he never talked to.
I love that though. He's like, she stood in the sunlight, bathing behind her, showing off the shape that God gave her. And you could see it. You could see it, in your mind's eye.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like Mitch's response. Like, well, did you talk to her? No, I didn't need to talk to her.
That would have ruined it.
No, it would have ruined it. It could have been the love of your life. Who knows? Maybe.
Yeah. It was. I like how it opens up with Mitch asking him the alien question. An alien woman comes down, and he goes, "I don't know. It depends. Is she a redhead? I like redheads."
Mitch is like, "Well, she could be."
That was great. I like how his only qualifier is that she's got to be a redhead.
Yes. Yeah. Curly was good. He was good. Well, I don't have anything else to say about it.
Anything else?
City Slickers. It's a good movie.
Yeah,
I enjoyed going back to it.
Yeah, I think I've hit all my things. Do you think people still have a desire to be cowboys like this? Like, I feel like this was like a boomer thing to be a cowboy. You think it's still a thing, a desire for people to be a cowboy?
I'd love to do it. Listen.
Yeah? You.
Listen. Yeah. I am not. I'm looking at you right now, audience. I am not the man to do this, but I would love to be the man to do this. It'll never happen, but I will romanticize it forever. I love the Old West, and I love just the idea of, I don't know, you're out in the open, you're just herding these cattle and just living life.
I like the idea of the Old West. Don't get me wrong, but I'm a realist. And I know I would not enjoy really being in the real West, in the Old West, so I'm okay with that.
Be a modern day cowboy, and just surely there's people that are still herding, like Montana or something. There's surely people that are still driving cattle and.
Absolutely. You know what? It's the most Texas thing. Don't judge us, but every couple weeks I see somebody riding a horse down the side of the road.
That's awesome.
That's
happens. Awesome. Up where I work at up there, I mean, there's a heavy Amish population. And they're always on their horse and buggies riding through town, and we've got a lot of farmers and stuff that have horses that enjoy riding them, and they'll ride them into town, and they've even got little hitches.
Hitching posts?
At the different businesses, because they have so many Amish that come into town and they can hitch their horse right up there. It's pretty neat. Matter of fact, the horse that I rode in South Dakota, he was an old Amish horse. His name was Brick, and he was a brick. He was a big old boy, And he was a good horse. He's a good horse. But yeah, the people out there at that ranch, they're living the cowboy life. They've got staff out there that they basically get room and board for free, and they give trail rides, and they've got animals they got to take care of and everything out there. And people are still living it, just modern version of it.
That I could get down with. Go out to a ranch, hang out for a bit, sit by a fire, have a drink, disconnect. Absolutely, I am down with that. It's the animals that I'm okay with keeping my distance from. Yeah. anything I can't pick up and carry that is more likely to carry me, I want to keep my distance from. Those are just rules I learned to live by. Yeah. So, anyways, do we have anything that came in over the wire?
Yeah, we've got several comments. Let me get to them here. Didn't have them quite ready. I got lost in our conversation.
I jumped the gun on you.
So, all of our comments this week are from our buddy Will Ford. First one was on our Karate Kid episode. He said, I love this movie as much as I do enjoy Machio and Zapka. It's Pat Morita who makes the movie for me. His Mr. Miyagi is such an interesting and subtly hilarious character. One of his best lines is in part 2, which we've talked about going back and watching that one. Daniel sees a sign with a martial artist karate chopping a log in half and says to Mr. Miyagi, "Can you break a log like that?" Miyagi replies, "Don't know. Never been attacked by a tree." Marathi was irreplaceable. He said, "Derek, I would love to. I too would have loved to see a Miyagi origin story."
Yes.
And then he said, also, I once bought a bonsai tree. I had always thought they were cool, and one day I saw a van marked with bonsai trees, in quotations, on its vinyl wrap. It was parked just off of a busy intersection. Ryan, you know the town. This was definitely out of place in my town. I had to check it out. An Asian man was selling all kinds of bonsai trees out of the van. As I was looking at one of the smaller trees, he comes up to me and says with a pretty exaggerated accent, "Bonsai is very lucky tree." As I was handing this dude $20, a car ran a red light and crashed into another car a mere 15 feet away from me. Lucky tree indeed, he says. And then he says it died later that week, or a week later. Yes, that was I'm pretty confident that was the same bonsai salesman that I had encountered.
You guys get through there.
Yes.
He comes by pretty regularly still, doesn't he?
I haven't seen him for a while. I don't know. Because that old gas station's now a smoke shop. I don't know if they're like letting him. I don't know if they're letting him sell stuff there or not. But yeah.
Is that the? Oh, is that the when you first come into town?
No, it's across the street from my church. If you remember, it's on the corner. It used to be the old Lickety Split. Dad used to go there.
Yeah,
Lickety Split. We gotta go there. Yeah, it's just it's a smoke shop now. Small towns. A few of those in town. Stuff just changes. And,
yeah. Well.
Anyway, our other one was from our again from Will. It was on our Nintendo Switch 2 special report that we posted just a couple days ago. I think, didn't we?
Yeah.
So if you haven't,
well, it would have been a few weeks ago whenever people.
Yes. Sorry, we're recording. Yes, a couple weeks ago. As we're recording,
before
just a few
we
days
recorded
ago.
last week, we had that conversation. I was like, we'll put this up.
Yeah. So check that out if you're into Nintendo or video games or whatever. We had a little quick conversation.
Maybe we'll come back with some more stuff later.
Yeah. Will said, I'm okay with this reveal, but I'll be more excited when Nintendo shows off some new games. 2 things I want from the Switch 2 is more horsepower for better frame rate and backwards compatibility so I can play my Switch 1 games. It looks like they will deliver here. Another thing I want, but knew they wouldn't do is a non-handheld version of the console. I know I'm in the minority here, but I only play in docked mode. Holding the Switch hurts my hands, and I want to see my games put on the big screen. Also, Ryan, I'm quite sure we are seeing Mario Kart 9 in the brief clip. I think I had said I thought it was Mario Kart 8. I'm sure we will get one at some point, or I will get one at some point. I can't resist Nintendo games. So
I'm pretty. I heard that after we had the conversation that it was 9 that it came out, and so whenever they showed the Switch, they showed the Joy-Cons coming off and then racing around a desktop. Apparently they're going to be like mice. Like they're going to have like a little laser that comes out, or, like a sensor or whatever. And then you could use it like a mouse on like a tabletop, which will be interesting.
Yeah.
I've heard people speculate that they're going to like do some version of like Mario Paint or something like that. It's like a retro throwback. Yeah. And just like all the different ways that you could possibly use that, which I was like, okay, that's interesting. But I often find that like these like
gimmicks,
kind of gimmicky things that they do, like like unless it's like a big one, like making it the Switch that's dockable or portable or whatever, or the Joy-Cons coming on and off. But like these little like trick things that they do are often not utilized by anybody but Nintendo, and Nintendo utilizes it for like a generation, a year,
maybe,
or whatever, a development
like
cycle.
one game.
And then they abandoned it. Yeah. Like Labo, that was supposed to be really cool, and then it just kind of went away. But I'm hope-optimistic on it.
Yeah,
I'll say.
I will eventually get one, I'm sure, but I'm not going to be an early adopter of this thing.
Yeah, probably not. I don't know. My son, who's had a Switch, he got one to 2020, I think. Like just before, I think it was like his birthday in 2020 or something like that he got one, and loves it. He's obsessed with it or whatever. He plays on it all the time. He had the same desire. He asked me about it. He said, do you think they'll do it? They'll do I would like to see them do hardware, what do they call it? Non-docking or whatever, like a permanent, I forgot the phrasing that Willie used there, sorry. But yeah, like he was talking about, something like that's, do a big hardware update and like it doesn't undock, like it's, robust hardware and all that. And I was like, yeah, but that's kind of their bread and butter right now. That's like what's the one of the major selling points of the Switch is its portability. They're not known. They have not been known for a very long time for, AAA graphics. That's just not their focus, and they're not going to focus on that.
Yeah.
But he's definitely like, I've had my Switch for 5-6 years now. Whenever this comes out, I'm due for an upgrade. I think I'm going to want this for my birthday. So we're like, cool. I think we got your birthday present picked out, buddy.
Yeah.
Or Christmas, depending on when it comes out. But, so yeah, like I think somebody in my house is going to be getting one this year. But it won't be me.
You can try his out and decide if you need one or not.
I got a new one like a year ago. Because I had one of the first ones I got, the Mario Odyssey edition one, so it was like all red. And then Joy-Cons went out, I replaced those. And then one day it just like didn't come on. And I couldn't get it to come on. And I was like, great, mine's fried. And I replaced it. And after I replaced it, it came on.
That's how it works. That's always how it works.
But I replaced it with the LED one, the OLED one. Yeah, and so I was like, well, I'm going to keep this one now because it's a little bigger and it's a little more powerful, and I'm going to just sell the old one. So that's just I got one like a year ago, so I'm like, I don't know that I can justify replacing it again.
Yeah. I still got the OG model. So
yeah.
it's the standard black one. Came with the red and blue Joy-Cons. So,
yeah.
Yeah.
I do like the look of it. Like, it's solid black with, like, the accent colors. I like that. It's very, I guess, modern.
Like a matte finish
it's a good
to
look.
it. That's,
yeah.
I always like a matte finish on things. It looks sharp.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Did we get any more?
There was another one that I'm not going to read on the air. It was a little bit borderline lewd, and I think I'm just going to keep that one off the air. So.
Hey, no problem.
Yep.
Let's do that. Works.
Did you see any more? Those are the ones I saw.
No, I have. This is. Oh, I leave.
I
that
know
one
you
up to
do. I know
your-
you do.
your-
But you asked like, was there something else? Like, I'm like, well, did you?
No.
Did
just-
you
I-
make
well,
a
like, I do
comment
get
on
the
your personal
notifications.
account? Or like,
No. Like, I do get the notifications,
Yeah.
so like I just thought there were a few more, but I think it was Will. I think you and Will maybe went back and forth a
we
couple
replied
times
to each
on
other a
one.
couple times.
So,
Yeah.
So I think that's all
Yeah.
I was getting.
Yeah.
And then the one you were talking about, I remember seeing that one come across.
Yeah.
We're not going to give that any airtime.
No, not at all.
Keep it PG, folks, and we'll read it on here.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think did we wrap up this episode? I think we did wrap up this episode. You know, I was thinking as we were talking through all that, I was like, man, there was one more thing that I thought I wanted to bring up about City Slickers, but I guess not. I guess we covered it all. So with that, we've reached another checkpoint, my friends. Sharing is caring. Reviews help a lot. And keep those tokens ready. Until next time. Oh, you know what? That's what I forgot.
We gotta do our icebreaker question for
our
next
icebreaker
week.
question for next week. You're right.
That's
Thank
all
you.
right.
That's what it was.
That's all right.
All right, we're gonna reverse that, and then that's fine. We'll do the icebreaker question. So my icebreaker question to you for next week is simple. What was your first experience going online? What was your first online experience like? We'll keep it PG.
Oh boy. I gotta think this one through. So.
All right.
All right. Well,
All
we'll
right,
talk about it
and
next
with that,
week.
friends, we've reached another checkpoint. Sharing is caring. Reviews help a lot. No, this is not Groundhog Day episode. That was last episode. Get those tokens ready. Until next time, we'll see y'all
See you
around.
guys later. This podcast takes tokens is a Clay Street production.